We're back here on Ceraulo Sports Talk, and joining the show, it's a man who makes Tyreek Hill look slow. He is a two-time Super Bowl champ.
No.
Don't dispute it, man. You ran the 4.18. He is a
No.
Pittsburgh Steelers legend. My man Ike Taylor. Ike, how you doing, brother?
Joe, I ran a 4.27, and Tyreek Hill in my mind is way faster and runs way faster than I ever could imagine when it came down to the 40. Like, nah, I'm not going. I'm my personal opinion, Joe, and I appreciate you. I can't disrespect Tyreek Hill like that.
You know what? I respect you giving him his credit there, but look, the unofficial 4.18. I mean, that's the one you got to put on the resume, right? I know it's unofficial, but you got to ride with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on. It was a 4.27, so I'm gonna go with the official.
Fair enough, man. Hey, look, obviously, Ike, the big news around Pittsburgh and around the whole NFL over the past 3 weeks has been the send-off of your quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger. You know, the way things escalated was crazy because it started with his final home game, Monday Night Football against Cleveland. And then, of course, his final game against Baltimore. And then, man, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they beat the Colts. And it's like, wait, we've been saying goodbye to this guy for 2 weeks. He's going to the playoffs. I mean, he's going to be in Canton in 5 years from now. I don't think there's any disputing that. Can you just speak to his amazing career that you got to witness firsthand?
So just sitting back and just thinking about it, 7 was ahead of his time. So while the Peyton Manning was a pocket quarterback, even a young Tom Brady was a pocket quarterback, even a Phillip Rivers was a pocket quarterback. Who else we got? Even though them guys were pocket quarterbacks, Ben was a scrambler. So he was a young Patrick Mahomes. He was a young Lamar Jackson. He was a young Justin Herbert. Like, this is what he did in his early years. It's just everything caught up with him. Age caught up with him. His mobility caught up with him. It kind of stopped everything in motion. But as far as like being ahead of the time and having some kind of mobility and extending plays, that's what a young Big Ben did. So now I sit back and think about it. He was about 15 years ahead of his time, I would say.
Ike, it was a young Big Ben and a young Pittsburgh Steelers defense that helped me fall in love with football. So, a little context, I shared this story on social media a couple weeks ago after you guys beat the Browns on Monday Night Football. First year I ever played, I'm 7 years old. It's 2005. I know you remember that year very fondly. My team was the Pee Wee Steelers. And what we did that year was we made it to the playoffs, our 7-year-old version of the playoffs, as a wild card team. And then we went all the way to the Super Bowl. So while this happened, all of a sudden, in real life, on the big stage, you and your Pittsburgh Steelers are a wild card team that make it all the way to the Super Bowl against a 13-3 Seahawks squad. And you guys come out victorious. Ike, I kid you not, I am a lifelong diehard New York Giants fan. The first football jersey I ever got was Big Ben's jersey.
Yeah, so you saw the passion, you saw the brotherhood, you saw the unselfishness, you saw, one, they're really not supposed to be here. Oh, snap, they wound up in the Super Bowl. Damn, they didn't win the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
That's what you saw. But you saw a bunch of guys who played for each other. That's what you saw. And that's just being a Giants fan. And I just get and I talk like that because even guys who I played against, that's what they saw. It was like, damn, bro, y'all really a brotherhood. Y'all really a family over there. We see it on the sideline. We see it on the field. So that's what made us who we were in 2005. And really to about 2012, it was just that brotherhood, man, that we had going on.
Yeah, I mean, that was a special group. You won 2 Super Bowls in that time frame. Of course, you made it to a third. Besides winning those 2 Super Bowls, what's your favorite memory of Ben? There had to be something in the locker room, in practice, summer workouts.
I was just talking about this, man. One, he came through for your boy. He came through for me in Tampa against Arizona on that last drive, throwing that thing on the dime to Santonio Holmes in the back of the end zone. Don't forget, we had a holding call. Things didn't look bright at the time. If Next Gen Stats was out at the time, man, the percentage of us winning that Super Bowl was damn near little to none. But Big Ben came through for us. But a young Big Ben in 2005, his first year starting, what he did in Denver. We played the Denver Broncos. We played Jake Plummer and company, and Jake the Snake was a bad son of a gun. He was silky smooth as well. He was very athletic. But how Big Ben lit their defense up, because their defense was hot at the time as well. How Big Ben lit their defense up, I was like, oh my gosh, we got something special with this young man right here.
And that's coming from a guy who was a part of, consistently. You mentioned that window 05 to 2012 or so, year in, year out, one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, it was like Steel Curtain 2.0, right? Like, so when you see a Denver defense like that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it helps you appreciate what Ben was doing that much more, knowing how talented that defense was.
Oh, yeah, that defense for the Denver Broncos, Champ Bailey and company, especially in that secondary, them boys had something good going on. They had a lot of first rounders on their defense at the time. And Big Ben was just acting like they was they was free agents. That's how he just got in his own that game, and you couldn't tell him nothing. You can just see it, and you just understood and you appreciate, man, I'm so glad I'm on this side of the ball and he's our quarterback,
Absolutely. Now, Ike, you mentioned the Broncos secondary there. Let's talk about your own secondary, right? Specifically the starting lineup, and it spanned many years, but Super Bowl 43 against Arizona. Ryan Clark, you, B-Mac on the other side of the field. Of course, Troy, Hall of Famer, Palomalu. Everyone except Troy in that group is now killing it in the media. You've got Ryan on ESPN for hours every day. I don't think he sleeps. You've got B-Mac, who over at CBS Sports, I don't think he's lost a bet. You were at NFL Network. You're killing it with your Believe in Steelers podcast right here on the Believe Podcast Network. Of course, my man. What were the film rooms like? That's what I want to know, because with all those personalities, you, B-Mac, I think Troy was the most quiet, subdued guy of the bunch. What was it like?
Yeah. To y'all, Troy was quiet. To us, we saw all his personality and everything that came with it. But it was, and I gotta tip my hat off to Coach Ray Horton, who was our DB coach. He had us so prepared, and he simplified formations and offensive coordinators. So think about it like this. When you look at your New York Giants team, you're thinking about a Saquon Barkley, a OBJ. When we look at a Giants team, we're thinking about the offensive coordinator. So what does the OC like to do on first, second, and third down? Okay, let's take it a step further. What do he like to do when he sees a one-on-one matchup with OBJ? What does he like to do if he see too high, meaning he see two safeties? What do he like to do with Saquon Barkley? Like, and once we got that tendency and we figured that out, we already knew what you was doing on each down. So by formation. So once Coach Ray Horton simplified that, and he already had some dogs and he had some guys who was passionate, who played for each other, we knew we was gonna win all the ball games.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Giants this year, at least their offensive coordinator at the beginning of the year with Jason Garrett, it sounds like you would have known more about the Giants offense than they did, because what's Garrett doing, right? Run the ball first, run the ball second, and then throw the ball out of desperation third down. So when you're ahead, and not to pick on Garrett, unfortunately,
right.
There are a lot of offensive coordinators in the league like that. So when you're ahead of them and ahead of their own team and their own game, that's why you guys were dominant for so many years, why it wasn't just a flash in the pan one-time thing.
Yeah, we play offensive coordinators and their tendencies. Now, if they had a Julio, if they had an OBJ, if they had a Travis Kelce, a Tyreek Hill, like, we respect and we understood what he was at that point in time. But formation-wise, if we saw Tyreek Hill line up in a slot formation, we knew either he was running an over, a seam route, or a seven cut. If he lined up on the outside, he was running a post, a comeback, or a go. Like, that's how you break things down. Like, you respect the guy when he's a dog, but you just look at the tendencies on how the offensive coordinator wants to get the ball to guys like that.
I love it, Ike. Now, we're talking about coaching and coordinators. Let's talk about the main man, the head coach, Mike Tomlin, because he has been the Steelers coach for now 15 years, and he has never once had a losing season at the helm in
That's
Pittsburgh.
impressive. That's impressive.
I mean, he gets disrespected all the time, right? People are always calling for his job, saying the offense is boring and it's because of him, and they win 9 games every year. 15 straight years, only coach to ever do it in his first 15. You were there for Bill Cowher. You won a Super Bowl under Bill Cowher.
Right.
What was it like when Tomlin came in? What kind of coach, man, and leader is Mike Tomlin?
IQ. He gave you an extra set of IQ. He gave you points on IQ. His IQ for the game is unbelievable. You know, so we used to sit down with Coach T. Coach T got an office called the Cave, where he sit down with the coaches and then come up with a game plan. Now, you know, by heart, Coach T is a secondary guy. You know, so the secondary guys, we used to go in the cave and he used to sit down with us as well as the defense coordinator or our DB coach. And it was just points, and it was the small things. It was the details. It was the receiver. It was the receiver who didn't have his gloves tied. You knew he was getting the ball because his glove ties when he snatched them up. It was the receiver who lined up inside an inch or two inside the number because this is what he wanted to do from a tight formation. Like Coach T is that much detail. So once you put a Coach Tomlin, who's a head coach but a DB coach by heart, and Coach Ray Horton, whose IQ is off the chain, it was like, oh my gosh, as a secondary guy, like we can't lose too many games.
Yeah, so Ike, you look at Tomlin and the success he had, and you know the intelligence, and I think it's really, you know, if I may, I think it's really important to emphasize, especially for the only active black head football coach in the league, his intelligence, right? He doesn't have that job because he was a stud running back or a stud wideout or a stud linebacker.
Correct.
He's got it because of his intelligence, right? So as we sit here now, there are 24 active head coaches in football, 1 black head coach. Right. Now there's 8 vacancies, and by my opinion, 7 of the top 10 coaches available are black. That's the way I see it. Right. How many do you think will get hired this cycle? Who do you think will get hired this cycle? And how does this problem that the NFL has, because let's call it what it is, it's a problem. How does this change?
I mean, when it was big, it was Mr. Dan Rooney. That's why we came up with the Rooney Rule. Paul Rooney understood, man, we got to start giving these minorities a chance. And we kind of faded away from that once he passed away. But if you look at a Todd Bowles, if you look at a Byron Leftwich, if you look at a Brian Flores, if you look at a Eric Bieniemy, you know, if you look at a lot of these guys, man, these guys need opportunities. I mean, you got a Houston head coach, he get fired off for the first year. You like, God, I can't even sit down and get comfortable getting on the airplane before y'all kick me off. You know, so, and then you wonder why some of these players, you know, players like, then y'all keep recycling the same coaches. How about giving minority or one of these other coaches a shot or a chance? You know, so that's how I look at it. Y'all acting like, you know, these minorities don't know football, and obviously they do. For Coach Brian Flores to start off the way he started, and for him to weigh he won 8 out of the last 9 games, that's tough. Yeah, that's tough. So why this man got to get fired in Miami? It still kind of puzzles me. But at the same time, man, start giving these minorities, start giving these brothers opportunity and a chance. You know.
I'm with you 1,000%, Ike. Look, as a Giants fan, Brian Flores is the top coach on my list. You know, they talk about the Maras, right? And the Maras and Rooneys, I believe, have a lot of similarities between the two families. I mean, hell, they married into each other. That's where the actress Rooney Mara came from. Correct. But if you look at the Mara family, right, they talk about culture, and they've had Bill Parcells and Tom Coughlin, and those 2 guys are responsible for the 4 Super Bowls. So when they hired Joe Judge, they wanted an extension of Belichick. To me, the only assistant coach of Bill Belichick who has ever had real success is Brian Flores. Right. I mean, look, Bill O'Brien in Houston made the playoffs, but how could you not with Deshaun and DeAndre, right? Correct. It's like Brian Flores went to a Dolphins team people were saying would go 0-16 and tank for Tua, won 5 games, including beating Brady and the Pats. Right. 4-2 against Belichick.
He did a lot of off-script stuff. He did a lot of, let me get a Minka Fitzpatrick out the way. Let me get so-and-so out the way. Let me build on these first-round draft picks. For a time, the last 2 years, he been getting number first-round draft picks because he was doing that during the season. So he had a vision that a lot of people couldn't see. You know what I'm saying? So he saw, he had a plan, and he understood exactly what he needed to do. He stuck by it, And like I say, man, to win 8 games out of 9, man, that's hard to do in the league. And to start the way you started off with, that's even harder. Now, it's been talk on, man, Coach Brown really wanted Justin Herbert. The front office wanted Tua. You know what I'm saying? So picture Justin Herbert going to Miami and doing what they doing. You know, so that's what I'm saying. Then they trying to knock the man and they spreading dirty rumors talking about the players didn't want to play for him. Man, you gotta want to play for a guy if you win the 8 of the last 9 games. So it's a lot of bad stuff out there which I don't agree, which I dislike about Coach Brown. But what Coach Brian Flores have done in Miami and what he will do next, I'm just wishing him the best, really. But give Brian Leftwich a shot. Give Eric Bieniemy a shot. Give Coach Todd Bowles another shot, man, because these guys deserve it.
Yeah, Todd Bowles, Eric Bieniemy, they're atop my list. Byron Leftwich as well. You know, for me, a team like the Chicago Bears, right? Historically, they always win on defense. They've never had a 4,000-yard passer, as crazy as that sounds. With Justin Fields, who I think has the most potential of any quarterback in last year's draft class, don't you feel that a Bieniemy or a Leftwich can really get the most out of Justin Fields?
Young minds. I mean, the youngest mind is Byron Leftwich. You know what I'm saying? And you put him with a Tom Brady, whose IQ is even sky high, Wi-Fi, so say, and then you just let him go and be a head coach. What you think he's gonna do? He's gonna blossom a Justin Fields, a young Justin Fields, because he's gonna know exactly what to do. Now you get a Todd Bowles, who Chicago at their best a couple of years ago. They had a bad defense, bad meaning good. Them boys was laying the wood. They was causing havoc. They was creating turnovers. Now you give him another opportunity, and you give him a Justin Fields. He'll probably bring Byron Leftwich with him, put him as assistant head coach, and then the following year, Byron probably leave after that. And I'm just guessing, but I'm thinking I'm not guessing wrong on that if that was to happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what it is, man. But Justin Fields, for me, man, that's the most intriguing, if I was a head coach, thing I would take, because I got a young quarterback. He's very talented. You have veteran guys on that Chicago Bears offense or defense. They talk highly of Justin Fields. And it's hard to persuade and try to get veterans to like you. But the fact the man comes in humble, the fact the man comes in willing to work, willing to learn, the fact the man is a first rounder, but he doesn't act like a first rounder. He's hungry. He's the first one in. He's the last one out. That says a lot about him.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, he's my favorite quarterback from last year's draft class. People gave me a hard time. I said if I had the choice, I'd go with him over Trevor Lawrence. I want to look at the remaining 8 teams. We are down to 8 teams in the NFL. With those final 8 teams left, which game this weekend are you looking most forward to? And which 2 teams do you see as the last men standing in Los Angeles for Super Bowl 56?
Man, you know, I want to see them young studs. I want to see Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes go at it. You know what I'm saying? So that's exactly what I want to see. I think that'll be a good shootout game. Last time I checked, you know, the Buffalo Bills did win that game. I think it was 38-28, something like that. Now, don't get me wrong, the Kansas City Chiefs, what they did after week 7, they just started locking everything down. They became the number 1 defense in a lot of categories. But if you just look at how the Buffalo Bills played against, you know, mac and cheese and the New England Patriots and Coach Belichick, they shut everything down as well. So we will see. And it's going to come down when you talk about the playoffs, man, it just comes down to who has the best quarterback. And between Josh Allen and how he's doing and Patrick Mahomes and what right there and what they doing, man, it's going to be a good game because it's all about the quarterback. Playoffs is all about what quarterback can win their team to a championship. And we're talking about 2 young stars between those 2.
That's funny, man. I expected a different answer from you. Not that you're looking forward to the game. I mean, who isn't? But when it comes to winning in the playoffs, I expected it to be all about defense. I mean, personally, I think it's all about the better defense.
No, it is. But, I mean, for the last drive, you got to have a quarterback to be able to sling the ball and have confidence. And your playbook got to be wide open to do it. And that's what a Patrick Mahomes and a Josh Allen bring to the table. I'm not going to limit my playbook because I don't think this quarterback can make this pass. My playbook is wide open because these guys can get the ball to whomever, wherever they at open on the field.
I love it. So, Ike, before I let you go, who makes it to LA? Super Bowl 56. I mean, for me, it feels like the Bills-Chiefs game should be the Super Bowl, but only one can move on. Who's going to be in LA?
Oh, man. LA might be in LA. The LA Rams might be in LA. And the Buffalo Bills might be in LA.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Ike, by the way, before we do wrap this up, I just want to give a shout out. Your Raging Cajuns had another hell of a season, man.
Yeah. Them boys balling. Shout out to Elijah Mitchell for doing this thing, the running back for the San Francisco 49ers. He's a Raging Cajun as well. Don't y'all ever forget that either.
Yeah, you guys really, some program being run down there atop the Sun Belt. Congrats to that, man. Congrats on your success. Believe in Steelers. I believe it's one of the most successful podcasts on our network, man. So just keep killing it, and thank you so much for the time.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Appreciate everything, bro.
Absolutely. We'll be back here on Ceraulo Sports Talk with